In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the long run. So as you can imagine, this is the longest run in your training week or your training cycle, your training fortnight, however you plan or put your running ideas together. And so the point of your long run is to improve your body's ability to use energy stores efficiently, whilst training the muscles, the bones and the joints to be able to cope with the impact of running for a length of time, so that when you want to run quicker, your body's able to do so without a significant increase in the risk of any injuries, whether to your joints, to your bones, or to your muscles. So in terms of a long run, it's similar to an easy run in that the pace is quite similar. But for a long run, because you're going to be running possibly up or down hills over a mixture of different terrains, it's useful to have a pace range for your long run rather than just trying to stick to one specific pace the whole way through. So it also varies a little bit based on what you're training for. So if you are training to run a fast 5K, then you won't necessarily need to spend so long on your feet in your long run that you're doing over maybe 8 miles at a time. Whereas if you're training for a half marathon or a marathon distance, you're going to want to make sure that your long runs are upwards of an hour and a half, up to maybe 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on if you're marathon training or not. It also depends on where you are in your running journey. So if you're a beginner, actually the idea of you running for 30 to 40 minutes might feel like that is your long run at the moment, and that's absolutely fine. So don't try not to compare yourself with other people. We're all at different stages. But someone who's more advanced or has been running for a number of years, they might be perfectly capable of running for a couple of hours, not particularly quickly, but for a couple of hours on their feet without it bothering them too much. Now, I also wanted to talk to you for the long run about how you might measure this in terms of your effort level, your pace and your heart rate zone. So for your RPE, rate of perceived effort or perceived exertion, you're looking really for your long run to be at an effort level of about 3 to 4 out of 10 to start with. And so by the end of your long run, it might feel like more of an effort of a 4 to 5 perhaps. If you're thinking about your long run in terms of heart rate zone, then obviously think about what we talked about before in terms of all the different underlying factors that can elevate your heart rate artificially. But generally speaking, if you're fit and well, then the idea with your heart rate is that you would try and keep it below 140. Now that can also be quite difficult if you've got any kind of hills in your long run route, because that will immediately increase your heart rate level. And also, due to these underlying factors that may be affecting your heart rate, it could be that you're starting with an artificially high heart rate, which would make it quite difficult to stay below 140. So you have to bear those things in mind if you're trying to do a long run based on your heart rate or heart rate zones. And then in terms of pace, well, your pace that you can do your long run at is something that you can generate through the Runner's World training pace calculator, which I've mentioned and put a link to on a previous video. So you could calculate that based on one of your recent quicker times, and that will give you a speed range that you can then use to try and stick to for your long run. Just bear in mind, on those training pace calculators, you can convert the times so that they are either given to you in minutes per kilometre or minutes per mile. So whichever version of pacing yourself you want to use, that is perfectly possible to do that with the calculator that I've sent you the link for. Okay, so why do long runs? So from previous videos, like the easy run video that we've done, I want you to think back to what we've talked about in terms of getting the blood and the oxygen to and from your muscles and the nutrients too. Also thinking about increasing the recruitment of mitochondria, where your energy is produced in your muscles, and the capillaries through which the red blood cells take the oxygen to the muscles. All of these things, these benefits you get from running at a slower pace without the injury risk. Long runs, like your easy runs, are also great for strengthening your connective tissues and bones and tendons. They help to train your body to store carbohydrate fuel, glycogen, around the slow twitch fibres that you use. And they also help to strengthen your heart, helping you to pump more blood around your body with every heartbeat. So these are all great ways to help you become a better, faster, more efficient runner. And so a long run is really helpful as part of your weekly training. Most people tend to do their long runs at the weekend, only because that's when most people have a little bit more time on their hands and they can fit it in. But if a day in the week suits you better to do your long run then by all means do it then instead. Okay, so stick to the pace ranges for your long run. Be disciplined. It will feel a little bit slow, but it's definitely worth it in terms of the benefits. Okay, see you on the next video.